Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Ryan, brought to you as always by our friends at Coolbet Canada, the Listowel Squash Courts, and of course, our great friends over at Larry Hudson's Chevrolet Buick GMC here on 1000 Wallace Avenue in beautiful Listowel, Ontario. Ryan Drury back here with Chris Clark. We are filming this. I know this will cause confusion because people will see trade deadline in the title and all that. We're filming this Thursday night. We're trying to be as late as we can, but we know that a lot of action's going to go down when this airs on Friday, March 3rd, when the trade deadline is. Don't worry. We're going to cover everything that we know has gone down so far. And luckily for us, Mr. Clark, your Leafs have already done quite a bit of heavy lifting.
My goodness. Have they ever? Yeah, it was a busy week for Mr. Dubas.
I see you prepared in the background there. What's
you like that? You like that?
Yeah.
There's a story behind that. Yeah,
Okay.
My Luke Shen jersey. I'll tell you quickly. When I was working for the Leafs, there was often times that we could purchase things for a low amount of money after guys were traded. And sure enough, Luke was traded. And guess how much this jersey cost me?
$40. $5?
$5. Yeah, and it's like the third jersey, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah. It's like the 67 logo. So $5 jersey. I've had it in my closet for however long, 11 years, 12 years, maybe more. But it's out now because Luke is a Leaf again.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I'm too thrilled about that, but he was a great guy. That much I can tell you.
I think he should be.
He was an outstanding human being, and he's matured, and he's better than a couple of guys they have, that's for sure.
That leader in hits, and I mean, I can't wait to see his first home game back. I think he's going to get a very nice reception. He was a guy that, of course, was a 5th overall pick, and the consensus, I think, at the time was the Leafs threw him into the fire a little too fast. He went right into the NHL, and whether or not he was ready for that or not is up for debate, but it doesn't matter anymore because all these years later, he's back, and I think he's going to be a stabilizing presence. I certainly think he'll bring more value, more than $5 value to your blue line for the playoffs.
It's funny.
Experience.
It's funny. I'm not going to say who, but one of the Leaf development people, after they traded Luke, told me off the record once that he really thought that Ron Wilson, I believe it was Ron Wilson, really was too hard on Luke when he was a kid and trying to learn the game, and really wrecked his confidence. And so anyway, he'll definitely get an ovation when he comes back. And hopefully he does some hitting. It's funny. I'm watching the game on Wednesday night. Obviously, the Leafs did not play very well against the Oilers. But look who all of a sudden comes up with 2 pretty good hits in the game, who hasn't hit a guy very well all year, not as good as he did last night. But Justin Hall. Now, Justin Hall is going to be the odd man out here. He's got to be. There's no way he's in the top 6 of this team now. There's no way. They have 9 defensemen and 2 others, really, lurking that could come up with Victor Mete and Jordy Ben. But they have 9 defensemen right now, and there's no way Justin Hall is in that top 6. We'll see what happens. I think Connor Timmins is a better defenseman too, but maybe he won't even be here. Maybe we're talking about Justin Hall and he's a past tense by the time the show airs, because I don't think Dubas is done. And I was talking to our good buddy Pooley, who's just a little busy tonight, or would have come on. He doesn't think they're done either. So we'll see what happens and what transpired between now and when this show is actually on the air on Friday evening. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I also don't think they're done because, remember, they could still load up with another forward. They've got a bit of money to play with. And remember, they've got that first-round pick back as well in terms of that deal they did with my Caps. So we're going to dig into all that. We're going to start specifically with digging more into the Leafs moves and some updated cup odds, stuff like that, with our good buddy from Coolbet, Jake Bolin-Moss. That's coming up next here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating, brought to you by our great friends at Coolbet Canada, the Listowel Squash Courts, and our friends at Larry Hudson's Chevrolet Buick GMC. Speaking of our friends at Coolbet, which I've been hammering a lot lately, especially on golf. But we're not here to talk about golf. We're here to talk with our good friend, our wagering expert, and huge Maple Leafs fan, Jake Bolin-Moss, to talk about the Leafs and all their pickups. Jake, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they told me when I was getting into the sports industry, you had to kind of kick your fan under the curb, but that is yet to happen. And I don't really see it happening anytime soon. It's nonstop. I'm doing all right.
You know, the funny thing when you mention that is like I worked for the Leafs for 14 years, and the first year was such a grind. They played Carolina in the conference final. And as you know, I'm a huge Leaf fan. When they were eliminated, I was relieved. I'm like, thank God they're out. And I'm like, okay, this is wrong. This is bad, right? Oh, yeah, Ryan, I'm telling you, because you have to work. Like it was like 20-hour days, like all the time, right? Like you get home at 2 a.m, you have to back up at 6 and off to produce a pregame show or intermissions or whatever, right? And it was just, but now that I'm gone, I can live my life again and be a huge Leaf fan again. So far, they've been pretty busy, Jake. How do you see the move so far? And has the line moved to get this team to win the Stanley Cup? Is it better now?
I think they're better now. I think what people have been asking for, Dubas has been actually answering those questions, right? I mean, a lot of people are like, well, we got to add a little bit of toughness and a little bit of grit. And they get Shen, and he's the league leader in hits. We all know that. And, you know, McCabe's a good piece in the back end there. I thought he played well last night in a game that was a bit of a hiccup, to say the least. So, I mean, Achari's a nice piece. He's really nice on that bottom six. You can see the energy he kind of brings to that bottom six. And then O'Reilly, we saw him kind of in that third line role last night, and I thought that line actually looked pretty good in the third period, all things considered. So, yeah, I mean, he's added the pieces that people have asked, and then we get to the point where it's like, okay, now we want more. Like, we wanted Bertuzzi, and now I think Tom Wilson is trending in Toronto or Canada or whatever it is. So it's never ending. It's never ending with the Leafs fandom, and I'm happy with the moves he's made, but obviously last night kind of put a little damper on that. Sure, with how things went. So.
Sure. So I think, and I agree with you, the third line looked okay with O'Reilly on the third line, but you know where I thought the glaring hole was with Tavares and Nylander, because Kerfoot's just not the guy for top six in my mind, and that's where I see, okay, Dubas, you still have a little work to do, because if O'Reilly is going down to that third line, we need another top six forward. And I you know what, Ryan, with all due respect, I would love to see while we're recording this show, that Tom Wilson is traded to the Leafs, because you talk about meltdowns, Jake, the show would be over. It would be done.
See, right? What's funny about all of this is that, yeah, I'm sure he's at the top of just about every team's wish list, which is ironic because everybody just jumps down this guy's throat, and I understand why. He's gotten himself into plenty of trouble over the years. And I remember on an old show we used to host together, Clarkey, you were so adamant that you hated this guy and you thought he should be kicked out of the league. He's one of those
guys you love when he's on your team.
Yeah, great. Well, you can't have him. And you're joking around like, oh, the show would be over. I actually would consider quitting doing this show, because Tom Wilson might be my third favorite hockey player of all time. And if he got traded, because he's the next in line, he's going to be the captain when O is gone. If they traded him to Toronto, I would barf all over myself. And I don't know if I'd ever be able to mentally recover. I think my girlfriend would be in the ICU. She would be beside herself. He's her favorite player. I don't know what this household would collapse in on itself. I wouldn't be able to handle it. And plus, you don't have the 2 first-round picks and a blue chip prospect that I would want for him. So no, you can't have him. And but I will tell you this though, and before we start digging in to the moves they have made, here's a hypothetical for you. I think Kerfoot, by the time this airs, will be gone, because of course we're doing this before the trade deadline day, so don't jump down our throats here. Oh, these guys don't know what they're talking about. We're recording this the day before. All right, I think Kerfoot will be gone. Here's one for you. We're having fun with Luke Shen coming back, and we'll dig into that a little more. What about bringing another guy back that would be cheap to acquire, And a guy that brings Carl. What about a guy named Jake Van Riemsdyk? What about that? How about that?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not.
Now I know his name's James Van Riemsdyk, but I want Jake to be. When the Leafs reacquire him, we're gonna call him Jake Van Riemsdyk. How about that, Jake?
Yeah, I can live with that. I can live with that for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm too sold on Van Riemsdyk myself. I don't really know where I'm at with this top six. Obviously, we saw O'Reilly play with the top six for most of the games that he's been here. But then, like we just talked about, we'll likely see him down on that third line. I imagine that'll be the playoff type roster. I think Keith is still obviously testing some things out. I don't know about Van Riemsdyk. I mean, obviously, on a team like Philly, it's hard to know if anyone's really good there. I've heard Konechny's name floating around. That might be a bit high of a price, but a guy like that in your top six might be pretty impactful. I think
the guy they didn't draft.
Right,
Jake?
Yeah. And then I think Buchnevich is another name that's kind of floating around. St. Louis has been sellers. So, yeah, I mean, I think all three could probably work in their own way. It's just a matter of kind of what the price is on all those guys and what Dubas is willing to give up, because you wonder if we haven't seen Nyes move yet. So if Dubas isn't ready to move from Nyes, maybe we see him on that playoff roster, maybe bottom six area, middle six, and see what kind of impact he can bring to this team come playoff time.
I find it tough with him and playing for Minnesota, because if they go to the Frozen Four, he's only going to have 3 games in the regular season to play for the Leafs before playoffs. That's tough. It's tough
assuming
to come
they
in
win.
As a kid. Assuming they go all the way to the Frozen Four.
And which people think they will.
Yeah, exactly. So that's tough, but I agree with you. If they don't do anything else, I think they'll insert them and see what happens. Is the top 6 guy, though, Jake, is that where you think Kyle will target here on trade deadline eve or day? Is that it, or do you think they need to get a goalie or wherever?
Yeah, to me, it seems like the most realistic thing that would happen. If anything happens during the trade, like before the trade deadline, I think that's the most realistic idea, is another forward. Obviously, they're not stacked on defense, but they have an abundance of defensemen now, right? So
it's deep. It's deep.
Yeah. It might not be the most talented decor in the league, but like you said, it's deep. There's depth there on the defensive side. So I don't think it's defensemen at this point. So I imagine it probably is going to be a forward, maybe a middle six. Like, I agree. I think Kerfoot's probably got to go. He can't be a top 6 guy. And I don't know. You just have to find someone else to slot in there. I don't love him playing top 6 minutes with Nylander, Tavares, or whatever combos it ends up being, because you know how Keith likes to switch it up kind of week to week here. So, yeah, top 6. I think, and this is something my dad keeps bringing up, is that he thinks there needs to be a goaltender. I just don't know what name is out there that is going to be worth the price and play top level. Is it John Gibson? Like, what do we know about John Gibson at this point? Is he like, he's kind of past the years of good John Gibson, right? He has been on a bad team. Can he find his game somewhere else? Maybe. I just don't know the name. If it came to a goalie, I don't know what name you're pulling out of a hat to say, here's going to be our number one goalie, going to take us deep in the playoffs type of deal.
Yeah. I think that Korpisalo getting moved took a big guy that they maybe were targeting, who's a cheaper guy, definitely a number 2 that, you know, they have history with. Of course, he did eliminate the Leafs from the not playoffs.
He's played well this year.
And he's played way better than the other guy. You know, Elvis has not even been in the building, let alone left it this year for Columbus. It's been a disaster there. Trust me, I know. He's on my fantasy team. I don't know about a goalie here, because, you know, you're looking around and Quick just got moved to Vegas, and Vegas, if memory serves, also picked up Buchnevich. You're looking around and you're like, I don't know where there's a goalie that is impactful enough where if Samsonov, God forbid, got hurt, and let's be honest, Matt Murray could come back. We don't know what his status will be in 2 months' time, but I don't know if there's a guy out there that could play at a high enough level that'd be worth acquiring that would be better potentially than Joseph Woll or Shalgren. I don't know if it's worth going out there and spending assets to try and get a guy out there that probably is available, but is not likely better than the options you already have. So I don't know if it's a goalie either. I think you roll with Sammy and see what happens. I do think, though, that if they want to make another significant move in terms of somebody impactful that can play top 9, likely slot in top 6, potentially on the right side, I think Kerfoot is the guy that's got to go, because that frees up $3.5 million. They still have a couple million to play with as a result of, obviously Jake Muzzin's unfortunate situation. That 3.5 goes out. Somebody, you maybe get into one of these 3-team trades where someone retains something on somebody, and all of a sudden you've got room to acquire somebody who is pretty semi-significant, I would say. And I think that's probably the last thing that I would target if I'm your Maple Leafs, is another guy that can bring a bit of speed, a bit of snarl in the corners, and that really, at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing I'd want out of a forward that you acquire is someone who's just not afraid to go to the net and take some punishment to go after some rebounds in tight, because that is probably the number one thing outside of defensive lack of depth the last few years. I think the number one thing that's hurt the Leafs is, yes, they've got talented guys that can score. The number one thing that's hurt them is they don't go and get those dirty ones. And Tampa Bay does, and Boston does, and the Rangers do. I don't know what the Devils are, but they look pretty scary. So that would be my number one target. Your guys' thoughts on that, Jake?
Sounds like you're thinking Tom Wilson, from what I'm hearing.
Listen. You guys can't have him. No.
You said what you said. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing when you're saying these things.
And I'm telling you to relax. I'm telling you to relax, okay? Take a nice Ambien and go to sleep, because this guy is staying in the district.
I didn't know I could get you going like this, but it's been this has been one of the more fun episodes I think we've done together. But yeah, no,
I'm waiting.
I
keep searching. It hasn't happened yet.
I totally agree with you, though. Obviously, I'm just messing around, but yeah, I totally agree. I think that top 6 guy is going to have a little go to the net. Don't be afraid to get to the dirty areas, because there's not enough of that right now. And
but we have addressed a lot of it, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like if this was
the guys they've added to Chari, Lafferty, O'Reilly. I mean, Tavares goes to the net. He's in the dirty areas. Little Mr. Fancy Pants will never do it, but whatever. But they have addressed it, and they're getting better in that area. There's no question about it.
Yeah, like if this was it, I wouldn't be mad. It's just the problem is everyone in the East has stacked up, right? We saw the Bruins make the move today for Bertuzzi, and that was kind of the big target that Leafs Nation thought, oh, maybe Bertuzzi. So now it's like, well, what do you do now, right? So I don't know. We'll have to see. I none of us have the globe, or I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
Crystal ball.
Crystal ball.
Crystal ball. There it is. Thank you, guys. None of us have the crystal ball, so we'll have to see what happens by the deadline tomorrow afternoon. I guess it is. What is that?
3 o'clock.
Yes, Friday at 3. Yep.
Yeah. But
here's a Friday. Is it usually a Tuesday?
Yeah, it's usually midweek.
I know. Yeah, isn't it weird?
Weird.
I like
it. It is weird. But I'm off tomorrow.
Very bizarre.
It's the perfect situation for me.
There you go.
Because usually I'm at work and I'm off tomorrow, so I'm going to.
You're off tomorw, Clarkey. Do you want to come sit and do the news with me and watch it? We'll make some coffee, maybe some hot chocolate.
Can you like quote me and put some clips on? Leaf fan, Chris Clark says.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll roll you right at the top of 8.
Sure, I'll be there. Right? What time you up? What time you on?
I am up at 4 a.m.
No, that's not happening. I'll be going to bed at that time. No,
well, you can come over at like 7.
Yeah, no. I'll still be asleep. But it'll be exciting. And
it will.
Here's a guy I want to throw out there. As we know, the Leafs have 9 defensemen right now. And as I mentioned earlier to Ryan, if you count Victor Mete and Jordy Ben, they actually have 11. But do you think they're dangling Morgan Riley to bring that big top 6 forward? Because then money for money is going to be close, probably.
I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm wondering what teams think of that contract, because I looked at it yesterday and I was like, this didn't seem like a bad contract at the time. But for the amount of years, I think it's a $7.5 million cap hit per year. I just don't know if teams are looking at that as a positive or a negative. Because Riley, I don't know what your thoughts are on him, but it seems like it's not getting much better. He seems like a defensive liability, and the offense hasn't been there like it has in the past. And I think that I don't know how other teams perceive Morgan Riley.
No, for sure.
I'd say.
Yeah, that's the thing. That would be obviously, an earth-shattering move. Like if Riley, I still think very highly of him. I think that teams would look at him and go, look at that skating. We have a guy that we feel if we pair him with, it would work out really well. I'll say this, like Boston made that big Dmitry Orlov pickup, and that affects the Leafs because, of course, they now own the pick, the first rounder that Washington got. That's in play. Like Kyle's all in. That first rounder is essentially almost worth a second rounder. I will say the draft this year is very loaded, but at worst, or at best, I should say, that pick is 29th overall, but it's still a first rounder. It says 1 beside it. I think that pick is very much in play. If you're talking about moving a Morgan Riley, like what is Nashville up to? Like I know they just re-signed him. Is Philip Forsberg involved in that type of deal? I think it would have to be somebody like that. Maybe it's not Forsberg because of the term that he now has, and Nashville seems keen to keep him. That's the type of dude, though, that I'd be after. Anaheim, I know they're very much rebuilding, and they would love to bottom out even further. Is a Troy Terry on the table in an acquisition like that? I personally believe that Riley would still be looked at positively by a lot of people as at worst a 3 that can still push the pace and be very involved on a power play. I still think that if that was a deal that was maybe materializing, that is the type of quality of player you're talking about, a top 4 or 5 winger coming back. I think that's just my thought on it. I want to ask you guys this though, before we talk about some of the other acquisitions, because obviously these guys behind me here, the Caps sent you a guy that was a pretty big deal. But before I do that, I want both your thoughts, Jake, and I'd like you to offer yours first. The chatter all year since the failure of last year again against Tampa has been, it's Kyle Dubas' last year of his contract. If they don't have some success this year, his job is on the line. Well, it's the old adage now at this point, right, guys? The players play. Has Kyle Dubas done enough, just as we're sitting here talking, to make you guys go, you know what? He has gone all in and done a great job in adding to this roster. Even if they lose in the first round again, I still think he should be the general manager. Your thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's a lot of what's floating around right now. I would answer in 2 parts. So has he done enough? I'd say yes. But does that mean his job is safe next year? I'm going to say I'm not too sure because I think it's all about how the team performs. And even though it won't be his fault if they go out in the first round again, sometimes I think it is just a matter of, okay, we need something new in here. And it's kind of him. At the same time, maybe it's one of those scenarios where, you know what, he's done enough to get him another year because that's what Matthews has left on his deal. And then it's like, okay, we're going to give you the chance, figure out what's going on with Austin Matthews. And then we can discuss long-term extension, because if he can't get Austin Matthews long-term or something else in return, like we saw with like maybe the Tkachuk deal, like I don't know what that's going to look like next year, then it's like, well, you're really useless to us. Like this doesn't matter who's in here if you can't get him to stay. So yeah, I don't know. I'm obviously, as you can tell the way I'm talking about it, I don't know where we're at. I think he's done enough to keep his job, but I don't know if that means he's going to keep his job at the same time,
Clarkey?
I think 1,000% he's back. I really do. I think the work he's done this week alone has proved to me, if I'm Brendan Shanahan, this guy can make some deals. This guy can change the face of the team. This guy's not afraid to roll the dice. Yeah, they're going to run into a good team. We know that. They're going to run into a good team in the second round, in the third round, in the fourth round.
You always do.
You always do. I agree. And
you got to beat a good team.
I just think all the pressure is now on the players. And if those top four can't do it this time, I want Kyle Dubas to be the guy to change the top four. I really do.
Yeah.
I want him to do it. And I think, just a little prediction, after this trade deadline, you're going to see a Kyle Dubas extension before the season's over.
Bold prediction. I like that. We like that here on Instigating. I think that at this point now, with whatever you want to buy into with what we call the echo chamber of Leafs Nation, it is very noisy. I think based on what I've been seeing on social media and just with even analysts talking about it, I just don't think that you can have your cake and eat it too here. You can't in March be going, wow, what a great job by Kyle Dubas. Look at all this, guys. And then the players crap their pants in the first round, hypothetically, maybe even the second round, and then turn around and go, Kyle Dubas is a moron. We got to get rid of him and Shanahan. I don't think that that's fair. I'm all for change when change is necessary, but you look at some very stable organizations and guys that were in their job for a long time before success came. Look at Washington. Now, I know George McPhee left and went to, funnily enough, Vegas and watched his old team beat him, but his replacement, Brian McClellan, was there with him for 13 years. Look at Nashville, went to a cup final, didn't get it done, but Nashville, I don't think that you can just sit there and go, yeah, I'm so happy with all these moves that the general manager, who does not take a shift, does, and then turn around when the players fail you and go, this guy's the reason they got to go. I will say this, though, if they do lose in the first round again, as good a year as he's had, this is the time to sell high on Nylander and really shake up that roster, because you look at what David Pastrnak just got. Nylander is going to be looking for not the same, but similar type of money. You're not going to be able to afford that. I think if they fail again, you sell real high on Nylander and you try and really shake it up. I don't know, but I'm looking to, just looking down the standings at some bad teams. Here's another guy that just crossed my mind, and I got to throw a number at you. I'm sorry, Clarkey, I got to do it. We got to address the Arizona Coyotes. We have to do this. Here we go again.
Well, they did finally trade Chikrin. Finally.
We'll dig into that soon. We'll dig into that. Listen, there's a guy on their team that I think would fit in really nicely on the Leafs too, in fact. Lawson Krause is a guy that does not get talked about very often for good reason. He plays at Mullet Arena. He plays for a college team. He's having a really nice season. Big dude, 6'5", bang and crash. I'll bite your face off in front of the net. I think he'd fit in unbelievable. Plays a lot of right wing. Nick Schmaltz as well, getting heavily shopped out there. Can play center, can play the wing, and he's got a bit of bite to his game and has some really nice skill as well. I think Arizona would be smart to unload one of those. And honestly, as much as I like both those guys, I think that first round pick that they got, that Boston had in the Leafs, in the Capitals deal for Sandin, I think that'd be enough to get either one of those guys, simply because Arizona would just be ecstatic to get rid of salary. Your thoughts on that, Jake? I think Krause or Schmaltz would look really nice in a Leaf uniform.
Yeah, as you can imagine, my group chats have been crazy the last few days, and Krause has been a name that's crossed into there.
I like him.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy he uses his body, and he's not afraid to, like we talked about, get into those areas. My only concern with him is he top six ready. I don't know. It doesn't he's kind of been playing middle six, right, for Arizona. I could be wrong because of how bad that team is. Maybe he is in the top six now. Is he a top six on the Leafs? I don't know. Schmaltz is a name that it probably fits in a little bit better in that top six in my eyes. If they're going for the same price, I probably lean Schmaltz over Krause. But I think either is a good fit, like you said.
Yeah, for sure. The thing I'd say about Krause is he's definitely got top 6 potential, and on the Leafs, his ability to have an impact would go even higher. I mean, I think he's got 15 or 16 goals now on a really bad team. I think on the Leafs, just go to the net. And if you're on that second line, let's assume they bump O'Reilly down to third line center, and you're rocking with Tavares Marner or Tavares Nylander, and then you got Krause on the left or right. There's your power forward that's going to the net. And no, he's not Tom Wilson, but built very similar. And I think he'd be a guy that could be had for cheap in all relative terms to the Leafs, because they're all in. I think he could be had for cheap and really make an impact. I'm sure you guys have seen this. This is unbelievable. This can't continue. They need to move the Arizona Coyotes at the end of the season.
They're not going to, but go ahead.
Of the $67.2 million cap hit that the Arizona Coyotes now have on their roster as we record this, 57.6% of that cap, so roughly $38 million, is allocated to pseudo retirements, your Datsyuks, your Prongers. They're still paying Chris Pronger, cap retention, and contract dumps. That is unbelievable. So when we're talking about real dollars here, because consider that your cap hit is just your AAV. It's not the actual salary on year. I think their salary, by rough math, is something like $26 million. Like, we can't keep doing this, Gare Bear.
Well, they'll have a lot of money then to sign Connor Bedard next year. They'll just give him a full contract.
I want your thoughts on this, because Jake, you're great as always. We got to let you go. I think the Leafs have done a lot of great things. I need your opinion on this, and I've been sharing this with friends. If I'm Connor Bedard and Arizona is the logo that comes up at old Gare Bear's draft lottery show, I'm standing. If they have him there live like they did McDavid and stuff all those years ago, and they interview him, honestly, I'm pulling the Eric Lindros. I'm saying there's no way in hell I'm going to play.
Can't do that anymore. I don't think.
Yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can.
Yes,
you can. You can absolutely do that. You don't have to sign anything. You don't have to sign a contract.
We need to look into this, because I have a feeling they changed the rules in the NHL, and you will sit and rot.
You can't force a guy to sign a contract.
No, but he won't go back in the draft like they used to.
No, you can't go back in the draft, property. But you can go and play in Europe.
Go. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not playing for Arizona. I'm not doing it. Jake, your thoughts?
Yeah, tough. For all these years, and that's the thing, Arizona's been bad for so long, and they've never got that number one. And because it's Gary's baby, like this would be the year. This would 100% be the year. I think that's what a lot of the talk is right now is Arizona going to end up with this pick? Because Gary's finally got a perfect guy to put there. It's Connor Bedard. He's going to bring hockey to Arizona, even though it's been there for 20 years or however long it's been. And I don't know. I'm about sick of it. I think they need to move the team. It's getting out of hand. Gary's he's gone too far with how this has gone. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I can't do it anymore. And honestly, I'm pulling the Lindros. I'm pulling the Lindros. And honestly, I don't think there would be a single hockey fan or executive with another team that would look at it as a damaged reputation or something. I don't think a single person in hockey would be like, yeah, that's a crappy thing to do. I don't think there's a single person alive that would go, yeah, I don't agree with them. No, I'm not playing at Mullet Arena. Sorry. I did that already. I played in Regina and carried that franchise on my back.
I'm not doing it again. Sold out games all across Western Canada.
Yeah. The average attendance for Connor Bedard is like 7,500.
It would go down if he played for the Coyotes.
Yeah, he'd lose that.
Not doing it.
It would go down.
Fellas. Not doing that. We're not going to Arizona for Connor Bedard. This guy's not going to the Big Smoke. And Jake, we thank you very much for doing this, brother. Thanks for coming on. Glad you had fun over in Europe. And I wish you and your Leafs all the best on trade deadline day.
Yeah, thanks, gents. It's a pleasure as always. And I'm really, really nervous and looking forward to the rest of this Leaf season. So.
As you should be, my friend. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Clarkey and I will recap some of the other big moves from around the league, including more noise out of Boston. New Jersey gets a big fish. Lots to talk about here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating, wrapping things up. Not quite, still quite a bit of the show to do here. There's a lot to dig into in terms of trades. Thanks to our friend Jake Bolin-Moss, big Leaf fan and our wagering expert from Coolbet. Remember, use Coolbet to lay down all your bets down the stretch drive here. You want to bet on your Leafs. You want to bet on whatever team you cheer for. Don't know if I'm going to lay any money on my Capitals right now. We're sellers here, but make sure you use Coolbet. I love the bet builder. It's my favorite thing. Arnold Palmer Invitational. I got some bets down on that. I love betting on golf. You know what else is great to bet on? The service you're going to get with our friends at Larry Hudson's Chevrolet Buick GMC. Clarkey, tell us more. It's a big month.
Yeah, it's truck month. It's coming up here. We're into March, so new programs are on, and you can still get that Colorado or Canyon, the clear out exclusive offer. $4,000 in dealer discounts only at Larry Hudson. You can see all the trucks we have at LarryHudson.com. I was in one today, Ryan. It was the Elevation, the 22 Canyon Elevation. Maple Leaf Blue, I call it. It's actually called Dynamic Blue, but I love calling it Maple Leaf Blue because it does look like Maple Leaf Blue, and it's a nice truck. It's obviously the mid-size truck. It's not a full-size Silverado. But it is a nice little truck, and I was in it today, and it's a beauty. I think you would look good in a truck. I really do. You're a truck kind of guy, I think.
I grew up and my dad had a truck, pretty much all my life growing up, and I loved it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see when I get back into the auto market. Yeah. Let me pay off the rest of my student debt, and then I'll come see you. Larry Hudson's. 1000 Wallace Avenue here in Listowel. They will help you out. If you don't have a rep, go in there, figure it out. Clarkey could be the guy that helps you get into a brand new truck. 4,000 off. Hey, that's almost as many people that show up at Mullet Arena, and they don't usually even get that down in Arizona. How about that?
They probably don't make that much money.
Not even close. And it would look good down in Arizona. You want to drive down there? You want a new truck? Go see Clarkey and our friends at Larry Hudson's Chevrolet Buick GMC. Also
just a quick
by our great friends at Listowel Squash Courts. Go ahead, Clarkey.
A quick look at Twitter, and still nothing on the Tom Wilson front, so we'll have to keep going on that one.
I want
there's two other guys though. There's two other guys that if their salaries weren't where they are, the Leafs should be targeting them. But it's just, the last trade deadline, we heard a lot about JT Miller. His name has come up this year, but with that big salary, the contract he signed, it's harder now, right? Like it's a tougher.
Pittsburgh's after him.
Pittsburgh, they're sort of in a limbo right now. I think they're
good.
Yeah, I know you don't like them, but and the other guy, and the Leafs will never probably make a trade with them, but Josh Anderson's a guy who they could use for sure. Like those, Josh Anderson, Tom Wilson, JT Miller, those three guys are the guys I would like to see. But it's just
Josh Anderson. So Josh Anderson is more realistic to me. Obviously, Miller just too long a deal, and Vancouver
Anderson's
would have
5.5,
no appetite.
I think.
Yeah, for 2 more years, I think, maybe even 1 more year. And then Miller, you're looking at the other side of it, and it's 8 more years, and it kicks in next year.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And I don't think Vancouver would have any appetite to retain anything on that length of a deal. There's just no way they would do that. But I understand your sentiment. But Anderson, I mean, I don't think that that's impossible. But a guy like that, and I really feel like Lawson Krause is a guy that people don't know and don't pay attention to.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, I'm not that familiar with them, I'll be honest.
I'll tell you what, like the Caps are saying they're retooling and all this stuff. Yeah. If we were to acquire a guy like him who's 26, I'd be thrilled to pick up a guy like that. I really would. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think he's a guy that's a heavy candidate to get moved.
I know we're teasing you about Tom Wilson. I think if they were going to make a deal, the Leafs, for Tom Wilson, they would have done it. They would have done it in conjunction with the Sandin deal. Like, why would you get a first-round pick from the Capitals and then trade them back? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, that doesn't seem to happen very often, right?
Like,
so I think if it was going to happen,
for you.
I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened already. Let's be honest.
I agree. Let me paint a picture for you, because all of the Leafs first round picks that they still own are many years down the road. I'd want 3 of them. And people can go, oh, this guy's a nutcase and blah, blah. I don't care. Tom Wilson.
I don't care either.
All I ever hear about Tom Wilson is he's a freak. He's a unicorn. Players like him don't exist. You're right. He's played 14 games this year. If he was healthy all year, Caps have been riddled with injuries. That's not an excuse. Mm-hmm. If he was healthy all year, he is on a 41 goal pace. He is the best power forward in the NHL. He is a warrior. He is so unique. I can't wait for him to be the captain of the Washington Capitals when calls it quits. He will be. He is a captain. He's a leader. He has really turned into a dominant player that can play any way you want it. You want to play fast and skilled? He's got great wheels. You want to score? He can do damage for you on your power play. You want to cross the line and get involved physically with our star players? Don't you come near Nick Backstrom, because Tommy Wilson's waiting in the wings and he'll fight anybody, and it's a problem. I would want like 3 first-round picks. I'd want Nyes. I'd want Robertson.
Of course you would want
I'd want Wall.
Like, for sure.
The Leafs,
we'll give you Justin Hall.
I'm literally talking about empty everything you have. Turn me upside down, Kyle Dubas, and empty your pockets onto my lawn.
And they should.
There's just no way. But I understand why you have that wishful thinking. Good for you. You finally come around.
He's one of those guys. No,
Wilson.
Listen to me. He's one of those guys who you love him when he's on your team. You love him when he's on your team. You hate him when he's not on your team. No question about it. So yeah. Absolutely, that I think he could help the Maple Leafs. There's no question that he could help the Maple Leafs.
He could help every single team in the NHL right now. He could help every single team except for Arizona.
Here's the deal. We're recording this Thursday night. And producer Adam, I know he's listening as he's producing. If there's a trade and Tom Wilson is involved, we're going to cut the show right here and pick up a new segment. Okay, so this segment here that we're talking now might not be part of the show when it actually airs, because we could be talking about Tom Wilson. Okay, just so
I'll concede that to you. If Tom Wilson is dealt, I don't know if that I can be part of that segment. I don't think
you'll be part. Then I'll do it myself.
Yeah, you can do it yourself, because I don't want to be a part of any of that nonsense. Let's go over some of the recent trades here. Obviously, Jonathan Quick, end of an era in LA. He gets flipped to Vegas via Columbus. So Vegas, obviously, Robin Leonard out for the year and in a lot of personal turmoil as well. It's sad to see. But
thank God
they get
the
a
Leafs
veteran
did not
guy.
get him. I'm telling you, like people were saying, the Leafs. No, he's washed up. He's done. He is absolutely done, and he's a head case. You told me Binnington was not a good fit. There's no way.
He's had a lot of mental health struggles. He for sure.
Well, he's not the guy.
It's the hip that worries me more than that. But yeah, I agree. It wouldn't have been a good fit. Obviously, the Boston Bruins, they get my guy Dmitry Orlov, who's got 4 points in 2 games. He scored 2 beautiful goals the other night. Orly doing his thing out there. He's going to be hip checking people into the ground. It's what he does. Then the Bruins made noise today on Thursday. They made noise. First round pick. It's top 10 protected next year. And a 4th rounder to Detroit, the Tyler Bertuzzi era over in Motor City. What a pickup by the Bruins, and he is just such a Bruin player. Obviously being involved with the Guelph Storm as I am. I wasn't there when Bert was playing, but he is still such a beloved character in the Storm franchise, and for good reason. He's just such a Bruin. And then they turn around and you think the
Leafs could have been in on that.
I'm sure they were. They were. But man, oh man, their rivals, the Bruins, they get him, and then they sign the big cat, David Pastrnak. It's pasta on the menu for many years to come in Beantown. 11.25. They finally splurge. They kind of did that with McAvoy. Like McAvoy got 9.5, as he should. I actually still think McAvoy's underrated. I don't know that he's talked about enough for how good he is, but now they've splurged, and the big dog is getting his treats. Pasternak 11.25 over the next 8 years to remain a Bruin. You just knew they weren't going to let that guy go. And with Bergeron probably on his last legs on a cheap deal, Krejci same thing. They can more than afford this. So the Bruins, boy, Clarkey, the Leafs have loaded up. They look better than ever. They look deeper than ever, but those Beantown lads, they continue to look pretty scary. And Tampa's sitting around just, are they going to do something before this show ends up airing? Like, what's the deal over in Tampa? Breeze.
Well, the amount they gave up for Jeannot. The amount they gave up for Jeannot is like, wow.
Yeah, it's shocking. But again, Tampa just, and I thought Brisebois had a really good explanation of it. He was like, look, these picks don't mean anything to us. Like, because we're still in an era where we have this core that can still win right now, which I agree.
That's where the Leafs should be.
And he's like, this is just not, he's like, these picks don't mean anything to me. Like,
and that's where the Leafs should be reacquiring a number one draft pick. I would gotta think it's got to be to move.
I think that pick's gone. I think that first pick that is Boston's that they got in the Sandin trade, which we'll touch on in a sec here, because I actually really like that deal basically for both teams, more so my team. But I think that pick's on the move. They don't care about an at best 29th overall pick. The Leafs are moving that and they're bolstering their top 9 forward. That's a guarantee. They will not own that pick come 3 p.m. on Friday. They're not going to own that pick. Let's talk about that real quick. Gustafsson in a first over to Toronto for a much younger player in Rasmus Sandin, who just got nudged down the lineup in Toronto. They just don't have room for him. He wants to play now, can play now, played really well against Anaheim. He played really well. And they're playing Enter Sandman on the Caps social media chats, and he was leveling some people last night, played over 20 minutes. I thought he looked spectacular. But again, I do think overall this is a win-win because the Leafs recoup a pick that they can absolutely use to acquire somebody. And Gus is having a really good year. He's a puck mover. I don't know that you'll love him in his own zone, but in terms of moving the puck up the ice and being a threat, likely on their second power play, maybe even with the way Morgan Riley is playing right now, maybe even on their first power play, because Gus and Ovechkin and those guys, they were actually making some magic on the power play. This guy can really move the biscuit. I think he's going to end up being a useful player. He's in the lineup tonight on Thursday against Calgary with Luke Schenn. I think that overall, this is like a win, and he's on a very cheap deal. I think this is a win for both teams. I will say I'm extremely excited to have a young 21-year-old named Rasmus Sandin as part of the Capitals retooling.
Yeah, and you know what? I was a fan of Rasmus Sandin. I think he fell out of favor a little bit during training camp when he held out. And
yep. Oh yeah.
To get a first rounder for him, I think is good for Kyle. And I don't think it's done. As you mentioned, that first round pick probably won't be here Friday at 3:00. It's interesting tonight, just looking at the line combinations in Calgary before we air this, of course. Leafs are playing Calgary. It looks like they're going with 7D tonight because Hull is in the lineup, Gustafsson's in the lineup, Schenn's in the lineup, but they're going with
really
11 forwards. So on 7D. So that's interesting. We'll see what happens.
I initially
they got some big boys back
sitting,
there now. Hull is there. It looks like so. Line rushes in warm up with Riley and Schenn. Makes sense. McCabe and Brody. Giordano and Hall, and then Gustafsson as the 7th. So maybe they're going to spot him in, but we'll see what happens. They're a bigger defense than they were a week ago. They're tougher defense than they were a week ago, and they're deeper than they were a week ago. I think, as I mentioned, I think Kyle has done a terrific job. I was calling for his job earlier, but I think he's proved to me now that he can do this. He can do it. Now the players got to freaking do it. That's all there is to it.
As much as you can be critical of management when things go wrong over and over, and the definition of insanity, that whole thing has been tossed out in Toronto an awful lot. Well, this isn't. Like, he's gone out, and say what you will about his tenure if it does come to an end. He's made ballsy moves. Like, he's gone out and made deals. He's made deals. Like, I think he has probably saved his job. I don't know what else he could really do. You know who else really shored up their decor? The Ottawa Senators, who are on a heater as we record this. They're not that far out of a playoff spot. And they go out and they get the mystical unicorn himself. He does exist, ladies and gentlemen. Jacob Chychrun's a real guy, and he's an Ottawa Senator, and it's for a disastrous return because the rumor has always been 2 firsts, a prospect, probably another pick, a third or fourth. They end up getting him for a conditional first and a couple seconds. It's
Arizona.
Unbelievable. Bill Armstrong, who's not a very popular guy. I think that guy's an absolute loser for dragging this out. That ownership group, obviously,
he thought he was smarter than everybody else. In my mind, that's what it looks like
down there.
He thought he was smarter than anyone else. He thought, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait.
Yep.
I'm going to sit this guy out. No, he's not going to play. I'm going to wait, and the price is going to go up.
Scored 20 goals as an Arizona Coyote. It's incredible.
Now all of a sudden you see guy Ekholm moves, Shen moves. Chychrun's still not moving. Well,
I think that they were worried.
It looks good on them.
Yep, I agree, and I think that it looks good to have egg on their face, and I think that they were worried that they were going to be left holding the bag with nobody coming to the storefront. I think they were sitting there holding a shiny toy and said, well, nobody's coming to our toy store. Everybody's going somewhere else to get players who are just as useful right now.
Yeah.
Ekholm, obviously, an Oiler. That was a big one and a strange one, too. And Tyson Barrie, their quarterback on the power play, he's part of the deal. But Ekholm, heck of an opening night against the Leafs. He was fantastic. And I think he really helps the Oilers for sure. And I don't think they're done either as we record this on Thursday. Remember, this is before trade deadline day that we're recording this. But yeah, obviously Chychrun is an Ottawa Senator, and I think that's great for Ottawa, honestly, going forward. There's no question ever about his talent. But I think that loser ownership group and the front office down in Arizona absolutely botched that. Colorado adding a veteran guy, my Caps. I was sad to see the Tiger go. Lars Eller, of course, famously scored the Stanley Cup clinching goal against the Vegas Golden Knights in Game 5 in 2018. The Tiger will always be a legend in DC. So best of luck in Colorado trying to help producer Adam's Avalanche go back to back. Love the Tiger. He'll never pay for a drink in DC again. And obviously Patrick Kane, the Patrick Kane saga finally over. A second and a fourth, I believe, some retained salary via the Arizona Coyotes. And he's a New York Ranger. And as we record this, he's in the lineup tonight. They're freaking out down there at MSG, and rightly so. They got Tarasenko, and everyone thought, okay, well, they're out on Patrick Kane. And Kane had that little wine session where he was like, well, I wanted to go there. Ends up going there. The Rangers are scary, Clarkey.
Oh, they're scary, but they're also up against the cap, and they're only dressing 5D, I think, tonight, because they can't call a guy up because of the one of the most disgusting acts in the league with DeAndre Miller spitting in Drew Doughty's face. So they can't dress a full lineup tonight because they're up against the cap. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Isn't that stupid?
When we talked about, no, it's not stupid when a guy gets suspended. If a guy's hurt,
no. I'm not talking about the suspension. I'm talking about, isn't it stupid that you can go and be the Arizona Coyotes and basically be paying like $25 million in real salary and stash all this LTIR money for teams and retain all this salary when Gary and his cronies put out the other day, we're going to look and make sure that teams aren't intentionally stashing guys on LTIR for the playoffs. Well, you're letting your buddy who wants to build the Dream Shack down in Tempe do it. But the New York Rangers, who are actually a model franchise where people give a damn about the hockey played there, they can't call a guy up.
If the guy didn't spit in the guy's face, they wouldn't have this problem. Let's be honest.
I understand that.
So
it's a unique circumstance. I'm just saying the dichotomy looks bad.
It does. It does. That was disgusting. But I don't know. Patrick Kane, I don't want to say anything because it's going to come back to haunt me, but he was on the list of guys who I wanted the Leafs to get. He was on the bottom. So
he's been playing really well, Clarkey.
Absolutely. We'll see. We'll see if he's got crutches or high sticks in the playoffs. We'll see. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. We'll see. But totally. Ottawa's on fire, and Ottawa might be the seed and have to play Boston. You never know what'll happen, right? Like, Can you
Obviously,
imagine?
the Devils getting Timo Meier. It's a 13-player trade, too. Like, it's one of the biggest trades, if not
Carolina's
maybe the
been very
biggest in
quiet,
NHL
which
history.
is surprising.
Well, they get Jesse Puljujärvi, of course.
Wow.
But
yeah, the guy Edmonton was dying to get rid
turn
of.
into a 25-goal scorer there.
Hey, he was
Watch him turn
definitely
into
highly
a 25-goal
touted.
scorer.
He was highly touted. You know,
He's a third overall pick, and he's back with, I don't know that they'll play him with him, but he's back with his line mate from that legendary 2016 World Junior team. Remember, it was Aho, Puljujärvi, Laine, arguably one of the greatest World Junior lines of all time. Maybe that sparks the kid. He's a likable kid. I like him rolling around out there with his tongue out and everything. He just can't put it together.
And the Oilers have drafted terribly over, what's his name?
It's not been unbelievable. Yakupov, you're talking about Yakupov.
Neil Yakupov. And I must mention your boss at the radio station, Jeff Irwin, decides to text me yesterday for the first time in a long time with Connor McDavid laughing on the bench. Like, yeah, okay. I just said, how's Jack? That's all I said to him back. But anyway.
This is sports, man. The Barbs traded back and forth.
It's fun. It's
fans,
good. It's
right?
all good, Jeff. It's all good.
Yeah, it's
all good. But the West is wide open, right? Like the East is just pumping and pumping and pumping. And
the
it's like,
East is a gauntlet.
God. It's
What's
unbelievable.
up over in the West?
The West seems wide open right now for someone to take the reins and run.
Can you can you tell me like who the best team is? It might be Dallas.
Edmonton.
I don't know. Like
it could be Edmonton. Who knows?
I don't know. I think
never
it's
count out
definitive
the Avs,
to say no. Yeah, you can't. You can't count it. Do that at your own peril. Landeskog's still not back, and they just got McKinnon back, rocking and rolling.
If I'm a team in the West, I would go crazy tomorrow and load up everyone I can because it just seems like it's wide open. It's there for the taking. So we'll see what happens. Like we talked earlier in the week about, is it going to be busy Friday? I don't think it will be as busy. There's already been 40-something trades this week.
Yeah, it's been wild.
Which just shattered the records for the week leading up to the trade deadline.
It's been wild, for sure.
And like, with all due respect to TSN tomorrow, which I'll be watching. I won't watch that other network, but at least they have tons to talk about. Like, even though they may not be breaking trades
there's
tomorrow,
so much to break down.
So much to talk about and break down. And like, it's great. And I'm looking forward to
O-Dog might not
probably on
need
at 8 o'clock.
his stunt double. They
Is
might
there
not
ketchup
need
on
a
this?
stunt double for O-Dog. There will be ketchup tomorrow, no doubt about it. I'm going to get up, make some bacon and eggs.
Is there ketchup on this? Isn't that his quote from a couple of years back?
Yeah. Is there ketchup on that with him and Ray Ferraro?
Yeah,
100%.
Anyway, it should be a fun day on Friday.
It is. I hope everybody enjoys the show this week. Obviously, I'll mention again, we recorded this Thursday. So this before the deadline, we dug into a bunch of deals here. There's been a crazy amount of movement even before the deadline. Hope everybody enjoyed deadline day because remember, this is airing Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut on our YouTube channel every Friday at 9 p.m. Follow us on social media, including Instagram and Twitter at InstigatingPod, where we post links to the show, links to the podcast, links to the YouTube channel, and a bunch of clips previewing the show every week. We really appreciate everybody watching. Clarkey, yes?
I just wanted to give a special thank you to our producer, Adam, who has all those graphics going all the time and makes the show look great.
Adam's the best.
So, Adam, we'll have you on again when the Avs get eliminated.
That's so unfair. Yeah, we would love to have producer Adam, who does all this great work for us, on when he's at his saddest.
Win or lose, we'll have Adam on in the playoffs at some point.
Absolutely. Producer Adam's the best. This show's the best. You're the best for listening and watching, and so are our sponsors. They're the best. Coolbet Canada. Do all your sports betting with our friends over at Coolbet. The Listowel Squash Courts. You want to get into squash, be active. Go see our friend Alan MacArthur at the Listowel Squash Courts. They're on social media as well. And
Dropped to 6th, by the way. Nicole beat me last week. Dropped back to 6th. She's in
falling down the ladder, brother. Hopefully that doesn't happen to the Leafs. And our great friends over at Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC. You want a new truck? Now's the time to do it. It's Truck Month. Go see Clarkey and the great staff over at Larry Hudson's Listowel Chevrolet Buick GMC, 1000 Wallace Avenue here in Listowel. Go see them if you want a new truck. Now's the time to do it. That's it for us here on Instigating. It's been a crazy week. Trade deadline. Hope everybody enjoys it. Go Caps. I guess go Leafs.
Go Leafs.
We'll see you next week.